What is the new cabinet decision for India's exports?
As you recall, in the previous budget, this announcement was made that one export promotion mission will be started. तो आज ये export promotion mission start किया गया है.
Why India's exports are calling for reforms as of immediately. How these reforms will help jobs, MSMEs and critical minerals. And will all of this make India hit $1 trillion exports? India has just launched its one of the biggest export reform push in the recent years. It is a 45,000 crore mission which could totally change how the globe looks at Make in India. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to discuss in detail that what exactly is this export reform push that we are talking about, what are the components associated with it, how it is expected to change the scenario and all the details around it. So let us start with understanding that what has been announced. So as of now, the cabinet has taken the decision that an outlay of 45,000 crores has been put forward and it has been approved, amidst which 25,000 crores is for the export promotion mission and the leftover amount around 20,000 crore is for credit guarantee scheme. Now these are the two things which are exclusively for exporters. The whole idea is to make sure that there is strengthening of export competitiveness, especially with reference to MSMEs and first time exporters. What do I mean by export competitiveness here? For example, if you are standing in China and you have two products, one from country Z and one from India, then our quality, our pricing should be good enough that the person decides to buy that. So if we want to enhance that, we have facilitated this scheme so as to bring this on table. And furthermore, another factor that we need to talk about, that there have been certain components which talk about securing critical minerals for green energy and also improving ease of finance and market access of these critical minerals. And the whole idea of doing this is to make sure that our export intensity gradually increases, because especially during the time where there is a lot of vulnerability, lot of chaos across the globe in terms of trade, we want to position ourselves with more and more exports because we don't want to be dependent on one single partner and we want to enhance our capabilities. Other than that, we want to bring in more MSME exporters. Even as of now, micro, small, medium enterprises are the fulcrum of the major export that takes place from our country. And we want to bring in more people via that for two reasons. It will help us in terms of exports and it will also facilitate employment creation. Furthermore, we are looking into supply chain resilience through critical minerals and job creation and most importantly, a direct progress towards Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India. Now that I have laid out the broad picture for you, let us move ahead and understand that why exactly we are questioning this, because the amount that has been laid out is not something that is done in an everyday manner. This clearly indicates that the whole push is towards the reform and to change it. But why this was needed? The first reason here is, if we are talking about the market and especially the exports, in recent times we have seen dip in merchandise export. And when we are talking about merchandise export, the dip has come due to multiple factors. As I said, there is a lot of chaos, lot of vulnerability, disturbance that we are seeing in terms of global chaos. Furthermore, there have been global demand shifts. When we are talking about merchandise, our neighbors and Southeast Asian countries have emerged as better options. And other than that, we are also seeing some structural headwinds, some structural challenges in our own industry, which have resulted in stagnant and slow growth in the merchandise export. And that is why this policy push has been brought in so that export can be increased and the long-term goals can be achieved. What is the long-term goal? Long-term goal is $1 trillion worth of exports coming from our country. Second important reason, when we are talking about MSME exporters, We are talking about increasing them, bringing them more. But what about the challenges which are faced by current MSME exporters? That needs to be addressed, and that's when we can facilitate and bring in, rope in more people and create more jobs. So the main challenge that MSMEs have faced for the longest time is in terms of liquidity and also collateral constraints. And this is where the credit guarantee will help in terms of bank risk. It will unlock working capital which is required by MSME exporters. And the third important point why it was very much needed, because when I am talking about export competitiveness in the global market, it needs a lot of things, including branding, trade fairs, certification, and this will come through targeted support, and this will enhance the competitiveness. So bring in our products in the global market, this is very much required. And the third component comes from the critical minerals, where certain actions have been taken to facilitate the green transition, be it for graphite, cesium, rubidium, zirconium. Basically, these are very important input critical minerals for batteries, for electronics and advanced materials, and there are certain changes that have been introduced that I will be talking about. Now that we have clearly understood that what exactly has been done and why it has been done, let us also look at certain numbers. When we are talking about total exports that we have seen in the last financial year, it is already lying very close to $1 trillion US. But this number requires a huge push. $1 trillion is something not easy to achieve right away. Furthermore, when we talk about merchandise export, we have seen that it is an important component, almost halfway of the total export that we are doing. So any dip in this will not facilitate our main vision. And if we are talking about exporting MSMEs, a good data that comes to us which facilitates the idea of $1 trillion export is that the number of MSME exporters have increased from 52,000 to almost triple, that is 1,73,350, that too in the span of only 3 to 4 years. So whole of this outlay that has come, it is going to change this scenario into a lot better, where we might be seeing a huge increase in this number, and this is also very much needed. Now let us break this down. What three major decisions that have been taken, starting with export promotion mission. So when we are talking about the export promotion mission, the first thing that has been made clear that it is a 6-year mission. The outlay for this is around 25,000 crore, and the focus groups have been clearly highlighted. We have MSMEs, we have first time exporters, labor intensive sectors and high potential value chains. So if you are able to see the focus group, you will clearly understand, as much as the idea is exports, the equivalent idea is job creation as well. Because labor intensive sectors, if they will be lifted up, they will be employing more people. If we are talking about first time exporters, if they are facilitated, they will be increasing their production, again leading to more output and more employment as well. And this whole mission comes with sub schemes which have been introduced for market access grants. There is branding and certification support, trade fair participation, capacity building. All of this has been brought in to make sure that the export competitiveness and all the skills as well as facilitation that is required with it is availed by the people who are capable of doing it. And another important factor that is the outcome based approach, which has incentives tied to the measurable export outcomes. So if your export outcomes increase, then you have incentives also tied to it. So you're not only getting hand holding, better facilitation from the government. If you improve, if you bring in diversification in export, there is better value addition. If there is increase in employment, there is facilitation of incentives as well. Furthermore, the second component of this outlay is credit guarantee scheme for especially exporters. Again, the outlay is of 20,000 crores and additional collateral free credit if there are any eligible exporters. So in this, the guarantee is being given by the government. The 100% guarantee is being taken up by NCGTC, and again this is only available to MSME and non-MSME but exporters. There can be first time exporters also and exporters in labor intensive sectors. The whole idea of bringing this is to make sure that there is reduced credit rejection, because MSMEs have limited cash flow and which limits their potential. So as to make sure that banks do not go for credit rejection, this is there to facilitate it, to make sure that there is working capital available from them, the constraints are taken away, and also ensure better cash flow so that the MSMEs have the flexibility to enter new markets, bring in more exports, etc. Now the third component, which is about critical minerals, let us understand that. So what has been done for critical minerals? There has been royalty rationalization for critical minerals. There are certain minerals such as graphite, cesium, rubidium and zirconium. Their royalty rates, they have been rationalized so that their exploration can take up, the domestic supply can increase, and also the processing of critical minerals, which as of now is dominated by China. Not just the supply of critical minerals but also the processing is dominated by China, so that all of this can directly facilitate India in developing and solidifying its green tech value chains. The whole idea here is nothing but to make sure that we have strong domestic supplies for the tech industry, for the electronics, for the batteries, and make sure that we have limited import dependence, and also upstream the job creation while doing all of this. So all these three key decisions have been importantly done to not only facilitate MSMEs, which are an important part of our economy, but also strengthen exports and also the domestic supply, so as to ensure that we have a very strengthened economy in coming times. Now when we have understood all the details also, now let us understand that how these decisions will actually help the focus areas that we are talking about. This will help the finance, because the credit guarantee scheme for exporters will unlock bank credit, it will reduce the collateral barriers for them. That means there will be immediate liquidity which will be available for exporters. It will also ensure better market access and capability. When we are talking about export promotion mission, it is facilitating newer markets and it is also bringing in capability building. It is bringing in the skills, be it in terms of branding, be it in terms of certification, trade fairs. That means the product acceptability and the visibility and the competitiveness across the globe will automatically go up. Then we will also get to say solidification and better resilience in our supply chains, because when we are talking about the royalties being rationalized, especially in terms of domestic mining as well as value addition, this will facilitate the easy movement of green critical minerals which are required for the green transition that India is aiming for. Can you tell me in the comment section by which year India is aiming for net zero? And then, as I said, the most important factor which is not explicit in these decisions but implicit is employment, which will also facilitate regional development, because there is a focused support towards labor intensive sectors as well, MSME clusters as well, and there is no way this will be compromised, because this still remains an important need of our economy. Now on this note, I will be also discussing the implications, because in coming years these decisions have to show the impact that they are creating. So in the short term, we are expecting that these decisions will bring in better working capital, there will be a rise in the exporters as well as the fair participation, but in the longer run, it is all about standing tall in the global competitiveness, reducing our import dependency, and make sure that we have resilient supply chains. What are your thoughts about it? Let me know in the comment section. I'll be leaving you with a practice question here. You can put down your answers in the comment section, and the answer for yesterday's question here is B. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.